viewers, at this hour for news and updates from across the world in business, sports, entertainment and more. I'm Timothy Crown at Diripibe. Let's begin in the Supreme Court, where the Apex Court has upheld the death sentence imposed on Maryam Sanda'S by the Court of Appeal. Sanda'S was condemned to death for killing her husband, Biliaminu Bello, at their Maitama home in 2017. Sanda'S, the daughter-in-law of a former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, was convicted on January the 27th, 2020 by an Abuja High Court, which found her guilty of fatally stabbing Bello. She was subsequently sentenced to death by hanging. She had spent about 6 years and 8 months at the Suleja Correctional Center before President Bola Tinubu granted her clemency, reducing the sentence to 12 years imprisonment. Sanda'S was included in President Tinubu's clemency list, which generated debate by Nigerians. The Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, later defended her inclusion in the presidential pardon, saying it was granted on compassionate grounds and in the best interest of their children. However, in a split decision of 4-1, a 5-member panel of the Apex Court today reinstated the original death sentence. The court dismissed her appeal in its entirety, ruling that she failed to show any error in the concurrent findings of the lower courts. Still in the court, the Abuja High Court has ordered the former Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, be remanded at the KUJE Correctional Center. This follows the arraignment of the former Minister and former Governor of Anambra State by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, over an allegation of 2.2 billion naira contract fraud. Justice Miriam Hassan of the Abuja High Court, sitting in Gwaripa, ordered the remand pending the hearing of his bail application fixed for Monday, December the 14th. Ngige pleaded not guilty to 8 counts bordering on abuse of office and acceptance of gifts from contractors of the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, while he served as its supervising minister between September 2015 and May 2023. And in politics in Rivers State, there are indications that all is not at ease yet in the political space of the oil-rich state. This follows accusation of the state governor, Siminalayi FUBARA, by the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Martin Amawele. Amawele is accusing the governor of dishonesty in his engagement with the state lawmakers. The governor had a day earlier dismissed any disagreement between him and members of the state assembly, and that is yet to meet the lawmakers after their prolonged face-off. But the speaker, during a press conference, countered the governor's position, saying they've met twice after the state of emergency rule, where all parties were to comply with the terms of the peace deal. Still in politics, the Labour Party has ruled out granting Peter Obi an automatic presidential ticket for the 2027 general elections. The party emphasized that all aspirants, including high-profile figures like Obi, must contest through the party's primaries to secure the nomination. The Labour Party's National Publicity Secretary, Obiora Ifo, stated the ticket will be decided at a party convention and warned that no candidate will receive special treatment. He noted that Obi's limited engagement with the party leadership in recent months adds uncertainty to his candidacy. The decision reflects Labour Party's commitment to internal democracy, that is, according to the spokesperson, ensuring that what happened in 2023 when Obi emerged as the candidate with minimal contest will not be repeated. The party also expressed concerns over Obi's involvement in coalition discussions outside the party, describing it as contrary to the Labour Party's interest. Into security, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, says the Nigeria Police Force is set for comprehensive reforms in its medical services aimed at improving healthcare delivery for officers and their families. He made the commitment during a visit to the Police Medical Services Directorate, where senior officers highlighted gaps affecting personnel welfare. We have more in this report.
The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, says strengthening police healthcare remains a top priority, stressing that the well-being of officers directly impacts operational efficiency and morale.
All members of the force, indeed all members of the public, should know their numbers.
He was speaking during his inspection of facilities under the Directorate of Medical Services, where he noted that outdated infrastructure, limited personnel and funding constraints have slowed progress in building an effective healthcare system for the force.
I ask that you think, both as administrators and as system builders, think about the present gap and the future needs of policing. Think about digital health integration, trauma support systems, mental health frameworks, emergency coordination, professional accreditation, and sustainable medical staffing pipelines. These are the pillars upon which a resilient modern policing healthcare model must stand.
Assistant Inspector General NGIGE welcomed the commitment, explaining that the Directorate has identified priority areas requiring
positioning the Force Medical Services as a strategic investment in the health, productivity, and operational efficiency of our personnel.
The police authorities are hoping that the reform drive will build a healthier, work-resilient workforce capable of meeting the demands of modern policing.
Still on health, Nigeria faces a growing public health threat from antimicrobial resistance driven by the misuse of antibiotics in humans, animals, and environment. Our next report captures calls by experts to government to boost funding and strengthen surveillance, warning that under-resourced efforts could lead to treatment failures, prolonged illnesses, and rising healthcare costs.
Health and environmental experts have called on the Nigerian government to increase funding to combat the rising threat of antimicrobial resistance driven by misuse of antibiotics in humans, animals, and the environment. Nigeria's National Action Plan on AMR emphasizes surveillance, stewardship, and infection prevention, but many laboratories lack modern equipment, skilled personnel, and regional coverage. Experts warn that underfunding could lead to treatment failures, prolonged illnesses, and higher healthcare costs, highlighting the need for state-level budget allocations and awareness campaigns.
If you have prolonged diseases or infections, it affects your productivity. Secondly, if you are infected with diseases that is uncurable because it has already built resistance, sometimes it might lead to death.
They understand that there's a problem. They allocate money for awareness, for surveillance, monitoring and evaluation, to understand what is going on in our society, in the chemists, that people go to buy drugs. So when they integrate that, they start making allocations for it, they start raising awareness, they start making policies, they start getting companies, private sectors to collaborate and try and solve the problem.
Stakeholders stressed the importance of the One Health approach, integrating human, animal, and environmental health to detect resistant pathogens early. They urged federal and state governments to prioritize AMR funding in the 2026 budget to safeguard public health, security, and economic stability. Mental experts have called on the
Welcome to business. It's good news to Nigerians who use premium motor spiriters. The Dangote petroleum refinery has reduced the price of the product from 828 naira to 699 naira per liter. Real-time market data published on petroleumprice.ng today show that the refinery implemented another major downward review, cutting the price of petrol, that is, by 129 naira per liter. The refinery reduced gantry price to 699 naira per liter is to take effect from December the 11th, 2025, making it the 20th petrol price adjustment this year alone. The reduction is coming just days after the chairman of the Dangote refinery, Aliko Dangote, promised to keep domestic fuel price at reasonable and competitive rate. The House of Representatives has advanced a bill aimed at regulating the operations of the Central Bank of Nigeria to enhance transparency, governance, and accountability. The bill, which passed second reading, proposes amendment to the Central Bank of Nigeria Act of 1991. Key provisions include separating the roles of the CBN, governor, and board chairman, introducing stricter reporting requirements, and strengthening oversight of monetary policy decisions. The bill also seeks to limit fiscal financing through government borrowing from the central bank and reform the Monetary Policy Committee to include independent experts. The move follows growing concerns over governance gaps, unremitted funds, and past disputes between the CBN and the National Assembly. The bill will now undergo committee scrutiny, third reading, and eventual Senate approval before being presented for presidential assent. If enacted, it will mark one of the most significant reforms of the CBN's legal framework in decades. On the foreign scene, Secretary General of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, Mark Rutte, is calling for a rapid rise in defense spending to prevent a war similar to those seen by past generations. The NATO chief was speaking at the Munich Security Conference in Berlin, where he warned that members of the alliance could be Russia's next target. He was speaking at the conference where European leaders discussed a peace proposal designed to end Russia's years-long war in Ukraine against a backdrop of growing U.S. pressure. According to him, quote, "Russia has brought war back to Europe, and we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured." End of quote. He warned that Russia could be ready to use military force against NATO within 5 years. Welcome to sports. Nigeria's Super Eagles have dropped one place to 37th in the latest FIFA Women's World Ranking released by the Global Football Governing Body. The 9-time African champions had been ranked 36th in the previous table, but slipped slightly after a period of inactivity in the most recent international window, which affected their ranking point. Despite the marginal drop in global standing, the Super Falcons remain the highest-ranked women's national team in Africa, ahead of South Africa, which came 55th, Ghana 62nd, Zambia 64th, and Morocco 66th. The ranking reflects a competitive landscape in Africa women's football, but underscores Nigeria's continued continental leadership. Nigeria's recent fixtures included 2026 AFCON qualifying matches against Benin Republic, but the team did not participate in other international fixtures during their ranking period, contributing to their slight downward movement. And to the AFCON happening this month, Super Eagles head coach CHELLE has released Nigeria's final 28-man squad for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, with goalkeeper Francis UZOHO and striker Paul ONUACHU making surprise returns, while Udinese goalkeeper Maduka OKOYE has been dropped. Despite injury concerns, Stanley Nwabali keeps his place, with UZOHO and Adam Amaz Obasoge completing the goalkeeper list. But forward Tolu Arokodare was left out of the final list. The coach also excluded several other previously shortlisted players, including Victor Boniface, Nathan Teller, and Kelechi Iheanacho. New faces like Ryan Lebioshu, Igor Ogbu, Ebenezer Akin Somiro, and Tochukwu Nnadi will join established stars Victor Osimhen, Ademola Lookman, Wilfred Ndidi for Nigeria's campaign in Group C, where they face Tunisia, Tanzania, and Uganda starting December the 23rd. entertainment, the entertainment space is buzzing once again, and this time at T-Dollar at the center of the conversation after stepping up on a frontier wig, a hairstyle traditionally made for ladies, now confidently rocked by him as part of his latest creative rollout. Fans say the bold look sits perfectly on his Ogba persona, adding a fresh twist to the identity he has built over time. The wig moment didn't come alone. Alongside his photos and videos, T-Dollar dropped light-hearted notes, including one saying Yoruba girls are the prettiest, and another teasing the boys go rock wig tire this December. Both posts instantly caught attention and have since become part of the growing excitement surrounding his new music push. Known originally as a dancer, before venturing to music, T-Dollar's shift into a more expressive, playful image is being embraced by supporters who call themselves Ogba Nation. His girlfriend, popularly referred to as Yawo Ogba, has also stepped into the spotlight with him, amplifying the momentum around the new look and the music it's helping promote. For many fans, the Frontier wig isn't just a style choice, it's another example of T-Dollar's confidence and his ability to turn an ordinary moment into a full-blown cultural talking point. And from the reaction so far, Ogba Nation is fully behind him as he blends fashion, humor, and music into one December wave. That will be it on this broadcast on African News 24 TV. Thank you for tuning in. Please stay connected with us on all our social media platforms, and don't forget to visit our website at africannews24.ng for the latest updates. I'm Timothy Crown at DRBB. See you at 6 o'clock. Bye for now.